Hi folks, it's Keith. We're doing sort of an initial checkout of the Hallicrafter. Let me get it down here so you can see it. Hallicrafters. And it is an SX 130. And I got it off eBay. It's got 10 meter, 15 meter, 20 meter, 40 meter, and 80 meter bands. This is the main tuning, which seems a little odd, you know, because it's the little bitty one, but that's the main tuning. This is actually the bandwidth and fine tuning. So, main tuning knob, fine tuning. That's got a lot of really nice features. And it was from Arizona. And I know we've kind of looked at it before, but I think I'm going to get to work on this. And just gives you a little bit of a close-up. Filter can has 3 filter caps in it. There's an 80, an 80, and a 60. The 280s are 450, and the 60 MFD is 300, I think. Here, let me get my pointer out. So, as you all know, usually these aren't so good, and this radio is from the 60s. So we are going to try powering it up, and we're going to see what kind of sound we get out of it and what kind of hum, if any, that we get. Potentially we would assume that the hum is from here, from the filter capacitors. I have it hooked up to my Heathkit signal tracer, which turns out to be really a great speaker, and you can see I've got the wires hooked up to the Heathkit, and we are going to check it for 60 cycle hum and see if we get you know, if we can sort of tell just off of that if the filter capacitors are potentially not so good. I got the Heathkit turned on, and we're letting it warm up for a second. I'm gonna kick this thing on. This is actually the volume knob, and my chair, give me a little more down. So if you hear anything kind of humming in the background, I've got my, it's about 35 degrees outside, so I have my heater on. Because I like working my t-shirt. So, alright, the Heathkit is up, iTube is functioning. What these things are really cool for, I rebuilt this thing so you don't hear a lot of sound out of it. It's on the high gain. Notice you're not getting much hum or much sound or much noise or much distortion, right? Okay, let's see what this thing is like. So I just turned on my Hallicrafter, and let's turn it off. Let's actually turn on my, whoops, doesn't work too good without the Variac, so my bad. Alright, you will see it light up, and notice we do have lights, camera, sound, action. I've got the AF gain. Notice the meter did the typical meter sweep all the way over. I do have it. Oh, hear that? That would be pretty typical 60 cycle hum, which you would assume would be the filter capacitors right there. And that's not necessarily true. I mean, it could be a shorted tube, and I noticed that some of these tubes are a little bit multiphonic. That's the not awful. Just checking, making sure everything's down and going. Alright, just to give you an idea, let me turn this up. Okay. I have the radio tuned to our strongest AM station, which is 770. Now 770 KOB is a really strong AM radio station, and we're set up at 770. It's a pretty close. I mean, it would be approximate. And you probably noticed that this knob doesn't match any of the other ones. Radio came with all the knobs except for this one. I pulled this out of my reuse pile, and it just happened to fit, so I've been using it. I don't like using the vice grips or anything like that. So, kind of get the idea. Hear the hum. Still there. Very few other radio stations. Well, actually, I'm really getting no other radio stations. Let me kill this because we don't want to damage anything. As most of you know, one of the easiest ways to check filter capacitors is voltage on the filter capacitors, and you know whether they are acting like resistors. So let me get that set up. I'm gonna just so that you have an idea of what's going on. That is obviously my schematic, and I don't know if you can see it. Let me zoom in here real quick. I'll try and get you up close. 200 volts, and that should be going to the R55, which is the 800 ohm. It's a 5 watt. It's one of those ceramic blocks. That's also in between the 80 and the 60. So it's right here, and it's easy to hook to. We should have 200 volts. So it should spike, you know, to well over 200 and then come back down and center somewhere close to 200. But what I'm wondering is if the voltage is going to keep dropping. And if it does keep dropping, then it's obviously a filter capacitor. And obviously we'll have to replace the filter capacitors if we're not getting the right voltage out of the whole thing. So let me set that up, and I will get back to you in a minute, and we'll check it and see what the voltage drop is.